I think actually that Mitt Romney is right, that ultimately women care more about the economic well-being of their family and the like. But he doesn't connect on that issue either. What you have is Mitt Romney running around the country saying, well, you know, my wife tells me that what women really care about are economic issues. And when I listen to my wife, that's what I'm hearing. Guess what? His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. She's never really dealt with the kinds of economic issues that a majority of the women in this country are facing in terms of how do we feed our kids, how do we send them to school, and how do we worry, and why do we worry about their future?
All right, that was Hillary Rosen on CNN. She's a Democratic strategist. And Danny Yadrin is joining us from Washington to comment on the Twitter war that's broken out since then. Danny, tell us a little bit about the response to that comment, especially the comment she said that Ann Romney's never worked a day in her life seems to have touched a lot of nerves.
Exactly, and what you've seen is folks on both sides of the aisle sort of disowning these comments with, strategists for President Barack Obama's re-election campaign saying, you know, we completely disagree with this, families are off limits. And to be clear, Hillary Rosen does not work for the Obama campaign. And meantime, you have Republicans and folks from the Romney campaign sort of piling on saying, look, I mean, these comments are way out of line. You're going after the candidate's wife, and you're sort of suggesting that, you know, caring for 5 children is not the same as a full-time job, which is, if you look at the full quote, is maybe not what Ms. Rosen was trying to argue, but anytime you start talking about, you know, a woman who raises her children not working, that's a very sensitive subject.
It is a very sensitive subject, especially since anyone who has raised children know that it is hard work, yet very different than a woman who has to go show up every day somewhere at a certain time and sort of be responsible for bringing home certain economic issues for her family, which it's sort of what I think Hillary was trying to get at. Though she may have misspoke, she may not have. I'm not sure what she was actually trying to say, but it's this argument between stay-at-home mothers and women who choose to work that seems to have been ignited here.
Exactly, and you know, Mrs. Romney, she was actually just went on TV and sort of pushed back and said, excuse me, I would have invited Ms. Rosen to come watch me raise these children and see how hard it is. But she also, you know, she had some other poignant moments where she talked about, you know, look, I may not have struggled as much financially as others, but I have struggled in my life. I know what it's like to struggle, and as you know, Mrs. Romney has, you know, battled multiple sclerosis. And she talked about, look, I mean, me and Mitt, we have passion and we have compassion for these people who are struggling, and we're trying to relate to what they're going through. And that was sort of the main point she was getting at.
And Hillary Rosen has actually gone back to social media to respond to this controversy that has erupted. Let's take a look at what she's saying here. She said, I have nothing against Ann Romney. I just don't want Mitt using her, so trying to read this through the thing, as an expert on women struggling to support her family. She isn't, again, that idea of Ann Romney, while she raised 5 children, which is a lot of work for anyone who's raised children, didn't have the responsibility of bringing home the paycheck, which some women are facing today. And I guess it just gets back to this issue that's sort of dogged the Romneys, and Mitt Romney in particular, as he's gone on the campaign trail, and this sort of class warfare has broken out as whether or not they can relate to what middle America is struggling with. And again, with this fight for women voters, it seems that this issue is igniting sort of that debate right now.
Exactly, and you know, Mrs. Romney, when she was just on TV, she was making it very clear that, look, when we're talking to voters, all voters, men, women, anyone, make it very clear, you know, economy, jobs, federal debt, these are the issues they care about. And that's really the message she's driving at. And she's also sort of pushing back at this idea that, you know, her husband does not connect with female voters. There was an ABC News Washington Post poll out this week that showed Mr. Romney trailing Mr. Obama by 19 points among registered female voters. And this is sort of the narrative they're trying to push back against. And it's one Hillary Rosen got at when she was saying, you know, she suggested Mr. Romney doesn't treat women as equals. And this was an idea his wife really pushed back against today. And she said it was sort of the only thing Hillary Rosen said that actually angered her.
And so where do you think this goes from here? Do you think this idea of pushing for women voters on both sides of the aisle is going to become the next focus of the campaign?
Well, it's definitely the focus right now. I mean, what we saw yesterday was there were, you know, Mr. Romney got in some hot water over, it was unclear, you know, whether he supported the Lilly Ledbetter Act, which makes it easier for women to sue in equal pay lawsuits. And then he's countering back and saying, look, more than 90% of the jobs lost under Mr. Obama's first term have been women, which is, statistically true if you go by Bureau of Labor Statistics, but it's debatable how much of that can be attributed to the president. And it is definitely a battleground right now.